Hi everyone, Kevin here, and welcome back to the final episode of Building Skills, Paving Pathways, a podcast series featuring notable NTU alumni, their journeys, and the skills they've developed along the way. On this episode, to share on the skills of interdisciplinary thinking and learning agility, we have Jia Hui. He is a senior crop scientist at Archisen, an agritech company that produces ultra-fresh, high-quality crops through urban farming practices. So I'm looking forward to also trying some crops, but thank you for being here.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having me here. And thanks for CAO for hosting this series. My pleasure to be here.
For sure. I know that also CAO helped you out a lot.
Yes,
when you were
they really did.
NTU, and we're going to touch on that because this series is commissioned by them and for students to hopefully get some insights for their careers ahead, practical skills. Maybe share me more about your work, maybe briefly. Archisen, what do you do in your work?
Sure. Maybe a bit about company first.
Yes.
So Archisen is actually a wordplay of architecture for sensor network. That's how it came by. So the founders, I'm not the founder, I'm a scientist there. So the founders were in the IoT business beforehand, and they saw a really good opportunity to apply this knowledge in the agriculture sector to make it more scalable, drive down the cost, make it more higher productivity. That's how it came by. So my role in Archisen is the R&D lead for the crop science development. So when it comes to crop science, right, you also talk about recipes, so how to grow crops. So traditionally, we have to deal with, okay, this is the climate I'm given, this is my location, so all right, what I can grow. So a lot of knowledge is probably passed down by someone, your sensei or whoever it is. So things become different when you want to go high-tech. We have the luxury of doing climate control. We call it CA, Climate Environment Agriculture, Control Environment Agriculture, sorry about that. So under this CA scheme, we are able to control things like climate, nutrient, lighting, even down to how close your crops be. So there are a lot of these things that you can play with. Suddenly, you are having all these permutations you want to do. So it becomes like a recipe to grow.
It's almost like kind of playing a game, but that implication is real. I mean, the implication is that you produce crops of value, of nutritious value, and which has a very tangible impact on people's lives.
Yes, and I can eat it too, so that's not so bad.
And that also involves a lot of interdisciplinary thinking, right? You were saying from the consumer's point of view, from the scientists, from the farmers as well. Wow. What was your focus like in school? Were you very sure that, okay, I want to be a crop scientist? I'm going to deal with crops, going on. So you have an interest in science, but again, not in this field.
Yes, I just kind of know I enjoy understanding problems and solving it through certain methodical ways. But I've really not been very clear about which direction it's going to go until near graduation, when I saw, all right, I would like to really contribute in a meaningful way to the society, and I saw there's an opportunity.
You did a PhD also?
Yes, I did.
Okay, let's briefly talk about that PhD, how that also led you to this. How is that PhD linked to your work?
Definitely. So for those who haven't done it, I would strongly advise you to think clearly.
I was going to ask, do you recommend doing a PhD?
I would. Depends on
the situation.
Really depends on your propensity towards research. If you haven't done any research, please try it out first before you commit yourself to a PhD program. This program is very rigorous in a way that you are trying to find. You identify a problem statement in this 4 years, or sometimes can go all the way to 7 years. And then you say, okay, what can I do to try to solve it? So there's no known solution. The whole journey is about trying new things until you find a way to answer some research questions. So it is applicable as well in commercial world, simply because in a startup, especially which I am now, the problems they are trying to solve do not have a known solution. Otherwise, it would have been already marketed. So very similar to a PhD, you're trying to understand something that do not have a fixed solution. That I see you have to be very comfortable with not knowing. And as you are making mistakes, learning more, you're more motivated to continue and not like, this is too tough.
Is there a real world insight and character you gain from that process?
Definitely. You fail enough times in PhD that's like, it's fine.
Because rejection becomes neutral to you. Just take it, feedback, move on.
Exactly.
Very similar to the scientific process. CAO also played a part in you coming to this field. Could you share more about your connection with them, how they helped you?
I really considered one of the biggest regrets I have is thinking my career too late.
Okay.
So I only start thinking about it after I submitted my thesis when all the stress is over.
Yeah.
And then that's when I got lost. I said, crap, I do not know where to go from here. That's when I got to know about CAO, then I engaged them. So I worked very closely with CAO. They were very generous to spend time and effort to guide me along this way. So the process was quite simple. So first they go and identify some my personal values to see what kind of values, if it were to surface in my career development, it will be more motivating, therefore making your work more pleasurable, I would say.
Sure.
That's why they identify certain values. Based on those values, they'll say, all right, look, these are certain fields, certain job positions that can fit these values. What do you consider? And I work closely with the career coach who has connection with the industry.
Right.
Then they'll say, okay, this is a company, probably, the culture fits your profile. Why not give it a try? That's how it's a very, from me, slowly to the industry. Yeah.
It's a SODA. They use this thing called a SODA approach.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's the technical name for it.
Yeah. I will link it again. Really, you all should really check this out. I think it's free. I think as an NTU student, you're paying for this. Like if you go out and pay a consultant, a career coach, and now I do a bit of coaching and training, it is not cheap.
Yep, I know.
To pay. So now you're getting it free. Why not use it, right? And I'm stunned at how much little we think about our careers, and how much actually, like you said, we can network, we can talk to industry mentors, we can take internships. All this in your first, second year, if you do it earlier, it puts you in a better position.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'll link up so that we don't go into details, but it really is a process where you can, really go through and see what fits your values and, explore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Highly recommended. Please do it. It's free.
And they linked you to this company?
I would say indirectly.
Not really. Okay.
They did set some basis like, okay, these are the values that you're motivated in. Then you can think about when you're looking at job description, the company culture, does this really fit? Of course, most of the times being fresh grad, you cannot be too picky as well. You have to be realistic about the market. So these two conflicting factors. But at least you know what your values are, what you're looking for. It's easier to put your effort into tailoring a resume for a position that you really want, as opposed to doing this for everything.
Right. Yeah, I think that's this really good advice for graduates. For undergrads currently in school. Right. We are going to talk also about skills, interdisciplinary thinking, and learning agility, how they can apply it. But we'll take a brief commercial break. Whether it's commercial or not, maybe partially. Okay, to talk about crops, to actually try some of the crops that Jia Hui brought.
Can't wait.
So let's take a look. Okay, wow.
So these are the...
Explain this to me,
All right, our current farm grows 7 types of crops, but I just brought 2 that are, more interesting in terms of taste profile, something that you don't get to eat normally. Sure. So for you to try. Just FYI, we have not, coordinated that he's supposed to try. So this is the first time Kevin is trying this.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Kevin, maybe I can recommend you to try this first, because after you try that, and you have your water with you, right?
Yeah. Okay, I'll try it. What is that? Explain to us.
So this is called ice plant. So this is usually you get to see it typically in high-end Chinese restaurants.
It's so good.
So what this plant does is that it originates from the West Africa and South Africa. Okay. So it's a desert plant adapted to very dry weather, saline soil. So you wouldn't typically grow this in a farm because it's very hard to manage that kind of environment. Okay. So in high-tech farm, we did some play on the crop recipe and to emulate this environment.
I was just going to say that transitions nicely into real world skills, even for crop like produce, right? It doesn't exist in isolation, right? Because we live in a market where we aren't just surviving in tribes, right? We need to put our produce out in the market to be bought. And I think that involves also understanding what people want. Yep. But okay, wow, thank you so much for bringing this for me. Now we're going to talk about the skills of two things, interdisciplinary thinking and learning agility. Why do you pick these skills?
I was given a list of skills to pick from. It's just on a first glance, these two skills feel like it's so what I need every day, and it's so relevant in today's market. Maybe we can start with the multidisciplinary thinking. Yeah, I think easiest is we take mustard, for example. So in any problems we have in the world, it tends to be very complex nowadays, especially nowadays. If you want to try to develop something new, just having one expertise alone is probably not going to get you there. So let's take mustard, for example. If I were just a crop scientist, I would have read, this is how you grow mustard properly. I would have grown it, and it would have been a recipe that was developed by someone else who had that amount of technology given to them. And I missed so many opportunities to do so many things. So if I have this thinking, I will have to talk to, the BE team, the business development team, and say, what do Singaporean customers like in their, fresh produce? Are they craving for a different profile? If it was spicy, wasabi, how strong can they take it? That's when you need that insight from your customer, and then, all right, this is some of the things, then you translate to science. All right, this typically means I have to enhance this metabolic process, stress it this way, and I'll tell the business team, right, there will be a 20% reduction in yield, because normally stress, that means the plants cannot devote that much energy to growth. Then they say, can you accept it? Then they will have to do that calculation. So there's this back and forth with different departments that we have to do. That's just one example with BD. And you imagine that for the entire business, the collaboration never ends. And if I were just fixed to being a chemist, I will probably not do well in my job. Yeah.
Okay. Was it difficult for you to accept initially that you have to wear multiple hats?
I think part of the thing in working in a startup is that you are just hurt with all these problems, all this while we wear multiple hats. Every one of us does that. But when you're trying to solve problems, you may not see it. You're just like, okay, let's get it done. But after that, you say, you reflect on it. I have learned something new. And I'm forced to do something uncomfortable. But at the end, I learned something new. And when you see the product of a problem solved, and when you roll out a product and watching people eat it, that's when it's all worth it.
Efficient.
Yeah. And it wouldn't have happened had you not, done that.
Done so much research. No, I mean, to me, you're just seeing me eating something in a few seconds, but actually so much work goes into this. It's incredible. I mean, we can put some pictures of the farm, right? I mean, sometimes the crop harvesting process doesn't go well. Sometimes just a little bit of tweak in the environment. I know because I have friends who are passionate about plants, and I'm kind of a nature person, so I kind of know. Of course, obviously not to the extent that you do, but I'm aware that it takes a lot of work just to produce something like that. And of course, something so unique that usually won't find in supermarkets.
Thank you very much for your compliment.
But it is, you said about solving problems. I think the theme for all our podcasts is constantly people have been talking about this. Whatever skill that we talked about, the end outcome is still to solve a problem.
Yes.
Right? For yourself, for community, for humanity, for just simply for yourself. How can students be intentional about it? How can they develop interdisciplinary thinking?
My way to take it is it's always easier to start somewhere that gives you pleasure, joy. So, for example, and then you start from there. I love the humanities. I've unfortunately not been able to, major in humanity and social science, but I love psychology. I love philosophy. That's why, but I never, study it seriously. So I do listen to podcasts lots of the time, like during traveling to listen to some podcasts, and you just expand your mind without spending effort. It's not like, I have to take this module, I don't like it. You actually enjoy learning something different. Whatever learning method suits you. For me, I love podcasts. I don't like reading so much.
Sure.
So, just start from there.
No, the joy of learning is, I can relate to that. I love learning as well. I think the joy of learning, I go to schools to do programs. So I try and imbue in them a certain joy for learning. The education goes beyond four walls and a piece of paper, right?
And it's a lot easier to learn when you love what you learn.
Yeah. Okay. I think we can go into the second skill on learning agility. Yeah. So how do you define it?
The way I see it, there are two main components. One is the actual learning, how to learn quickly. The other one is the mindset of willing to learn quickly, not just get content with what you have. So the second part, actually, it's an easy trap to fall into. Let's say when we're too busy, it's like, okay, I have enough skills to do my work. I'm good at it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in this world we are living in, it's so disruptive. We do risk getting our skills getting obsolete in our lifetime, within our lifetime. So it is important to nurture this attitude towards learning. But of course, some people you feel there's some barrier to learning new things especially when you're so busy. That's why I always like to say, learn something that you like, and then see whether you can. If you can use some of that in your work, fantastic. Otherwise, you still get to learn something new, and eventually you get to apply it somewhere. And the second part is, of course, how to learn it. So now it's not about, information is so accessible, and the trick here is how do you assess it, whether it's quality information or it's just junk. That's when the method to do it is very important. That I think if you were to go deeper, it's about how to, you want to listen to a podcast, read a textbook, how much time do you have? All this depends,
Okay, and you talk about different modes, right? Different means and modes to solve the same problem.
Yes.
Yeah. You give an example maybe of your work, how that has helped, or a real life example of how learning agility has, helped you be more productive.
So I would say maybe let's take the food development, for example. So I have got very little experience with food technology, food development, all the way to packaging. But when I first joined here, when we first developed these products, how do we now package it? I don't know anything about packaging, material, size, the color scheme, all that. What do I know? So a lot of times it's how do you get there very quickly. To me, given a limited time, I always like to see what the competitors do. They are a good benchmark. When you have good competitors, you are very lucky because they set a high bar. So what we do is we just buy all the competitor product from the shelf. What's in common? Do a meta-analysis. And then say, a lot of them tend to use, this is called clamshell for higher class produce, and then for the commodity crops that we cook, they tend to be more like thinner plastic. That's where you start to see a trend. Okay, maybe I should read more about this.
Just to show that it's higher quality and to show that it's more niche in a way. Because what I see is that, I'm just as a consumer, when I look at this, it's definitely more appealing than just normal vegetables. I mean, nothing wrong with those in the supermarket. But you can see it's very it's very current. The fonts as well, as a communication student, it stands out to me. The logo is non-GMO, pesticide-free.
Yeah, but all this is thanks to the marketing team designing this. But the packaging, you might look very simple, just aesthetics, but actually a lot goes behind it in terms of you want to take care of your supply chain, make sure that your plants do not degrade too quickly. When you put against your competitors, will this look faded and then it's forgotten? Yeah, there are so many things to think about.
You say it's a bit of curiosity as well. Being really curious about the world and why things are the way it is, it helps you to learn and be agile.
Yes.
I would say maybe in particular to you as a scientist, you'll definitely be more methodological and specific in the way you do things. Will you share if you have any framework in mind that maybe can be applied in a real world case when it comes to learning or solving a problem?
Sure. The way I typically do this is a lot of self-reflection.
Okay.
So I'm lucky in that I'm working in a startup. So we do projects that churn so quickly that before we know it, we are in a different place. So every 3 months or so, when you look back, oh wow, this has changed. But if you do constant reflection of this, first of all, because we do so many things within a short time, we're going to make a lot of mistakes. So making mistakes, you know the outcome of doing something wrong, and when you reflect on it, this really lands in, and it kind of shapes how you want to solve the problem in the future. Or maybe I really did rush this, so in the future I do need to spend more time, more resources. That reflection to me is the most important part in fine-tuning.
The intentional reflection. Learning is intentional.
Exactly.
And a lot of times we just escape that because we have never got the habit of reflecting on something deeply.
And you have to be honest about it, that I really did make a mistake, and then admit to yourself, what could I have done differently, and make sure you do something differently next time.
The ego also gets in the way of learning. I think now we're talking about learning, right? Ego is a big barrier to actually learning. When you think you have assumed something that you think is the truth, and then that becomes your barrier. It's like there's no room for learning because to you that is the end really.
Yeah, that's why I find being curious does give you some kind of humility that there definitely are things that we do not know that you can pursue and try to learn more.
Okay. Wow, I think that's a great discussion. With you, Jia Hui. We come towards the end of the podcast already. Before the end though, we have a surprise quick fire segment.
Oh boy, I did not know this.
5 questions you can elaborate slightly. Okay, the first question is, what's the biggest value or lesson you learned from university?
Just tapping into the multitude of resources. I would say university, the intensity of learning is not as high as, back in JC or in school where you are just bombarded with hours of learning, but you are given a sudden freedom to explore what you want. That management of freedom to me, it's more like a life lesson than education, learning, consuming knowledge per se.
Okay, wow. What's the biggest failure, quote unquote, you have in your working career?
I would say in the beginning, I really, really took a long time to think about it. Yeah. So when I graduated, I had zero network with the industry, let alone I didn't even know I really want to go to the agritech sector until pretty much after graduation. I did not have any contacts, so I had to start. I was lucky. I could do the hard way and doing an internship, and someone else actually gave me a chance. Imagine if all the timing were not right, I would have been steered to a very different path because I was not prepared.
And how do you overcome that?
I would say just take a chance. It's, if you like something, you think you have a chance, be practical first. If you have a financial commitment, you have to get something done and have to support whatever that you need to do. That's different. I was lucky in a point of my life that time. I did not have too much of this, so I could still afford to do an internship, learn something new. If there is a chance that it doesn't work out, I can still, have time to recover, to do something else. Just take that step to see, whether it pays off. Yeah, okay. Take risks.
Got it. What is the one blunt but useful advice you've got?
I would say get over your own fear. I have lots of those. Just try small things one step at a time. I've never done a podcast. Yeah. I'm so nervous. So
doesn't look like it though. Yeah.
So I give it a chance and see. I'm sure I walk away from this learning something new as well. Yeah.
What is one quote philosophy that you live by that inspires you?
Reflect on your own actions, your own decisions, and see how you can do better. Yeah.
So the last question, do you have any final message to share with NTU students?
I think for the university students today, the future career development is going to look a lot different from our parents. Paths are not as straightforward as we thought. Many people will go through career change a few times in their life. That's okay, and it's more important to know work is going to be part of your life. So if we could try to match our personality, our propensity towards this, and gain something meaningful from it, that would be fantastic. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you once again.
Great, thank you.
Jia Hui, I really enjoyed this time spent with you.
Likewise, thank you.
Yeah, and I'll be definitely checking out some of the work and the props as well that you produce. Yes. With that, wow, we actually have come to the end of this podcast series, this entire podcast series. So, if you all enjoyed it, do leave a feedback to CEO. Do drop me a DM as well. I think my socials are there. But of course, this focus is on CAO and the work that they are doing to help you all. Yeah, so definitely reach out to them if you have inspired in any way. Reach out to Jia Hui as well. I'll drop a LinkedIn link. As usual, I'll drop their LinkedIn profiles in the description. You all can connect with them if you are interested in a similar field. Yeah, but with that, we really come to the end. Yes, check out the previous episodes, and we want more podcast series in future. Email your school, then maybe we'll be back for a second season. Okay, see y'all. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.